Today I'll be talking about project inspection, micro and slurry seal spreader boxes. I'll also discuss some special situations, review the troubleshooting process, and talk about the different methods of measurement and payment. The quality assurance is critical during construction process, and inspectors should know how to recognize, analyze, and specifically identify all potential problems and work with the contractor to determine solutions. So listed are five items in need of attention: longitudinal joints, transverse joints, edge lines, smoothness and ride quality, and handwork. So we'll talk about each problem in greater detail over the next few slides. So the inspector note reads, oversight of quality during construction is a shared responsibility between the agency and the contractor, and is important in achieving a successful project. Working together, potential problems and challenges should be identified and resolved as they arise during the project. When it comes to construction of longitudinal joints, they should be straight and on lane lines, uniformly follow the traffic lane. They should be constructed as an overlap or a butt joint. So if the overlap method is used, it should be kept to a minimum, no more than 3 inches of overlap. The joint should be smooth and neat in appearance, with no excessive buildup or uncovered areas. So here you see a continuous machine equipped with an expandable spreader box and a secondary strike-off applying a microsearching treatment. Notice that the squeegee personnel and box operators are paying special attention to the longitudinal joint installation. So an acceptable joint that is both smooth and neat in appearance and has no excessive buildup or uncovered areas. So on the left, you see the proper construction of a butt joint with the finished product illustrated in the picture on the right. So as you can see, they are very little overlap. They're just butting that joint up, and the end result is a seam that's straight and neat. So here are two examples of unacceptable joint work. Some potential causes may include poor box maintenance, inadequately trained workforce, excess moisture in the mix, and a mixture that may have been lacking moisture. The transverse joint should be level, smooth, and neat in appearance. Excessive buildup or uncovered areas should not be permitted. When possible, transverse joints should be constructed as a butt joint rather than an overlap joint. Roofing felt may assist the contractor in constructing acceptable transverse joints. So the edge of a spreader box should produce a straight line and clean edge line. Typically, the existing edge line marking is inadequate for the operator to use as a guide mark. If the paver operator has difficulty in maintaining a straight edge line, a string line or pilot line should be used as a guide mark for alignment. All transitional areas will need a string line or pilot line to produce an acceptable result as pictured. On a rare occasion, the slurry mixture may have too much liquid in the system, which causes the material to flow and run into the shoulder. If this occurs, the operation should be stopped until the mixture is maintained at a proper consistency. So the unacceptable edge line illustrated in the picture on the left may have been caused by several factors, such as lack of material in the spreader box, poor equipment alignment, unstable mix, and lack of a pilot or string line. Picture on the right illustrates proper alignment, stable mix, good equipment operation, and the use of an adequate guideline. big difference between the two. So it's important to remember that slurry mixtures follow the existing road surface profile and do not have the ability to significantly change the pavement smoothness. Microsurfacing has the ability to correct minor surface irregularities, improving the ride quality to a minor extent. Until the microsurfacing fully cures, rolling traffic will tend to improve the ride quality. So these are some photos of acceptable handwork. Notice the wet pavement in the picture on the left. Wetting the pavement cools the asphalt and helps the workers move the material easier. Many slurry or micro surfacing projects will include areas that are not accessible to the spreader box. These areas can be completed with the use of a squeegee or asphalt loop. The quality of the finished product will be directly related to the quality and skill of the squeegee personnel. When handwork is being performed, wet the existing asphalt surface first to ensure the finished slurry surface is applied uniformly. Water in the mix reduces pavement surface tension and helps the squeegee operators to move and work with the slurry. Remember, if the spreader box uses a material drag, one must also be used on the squeegee to closely match the texture of the material being applied by the spreader box. So the inspector note reads, the cardinal rule for handwork is least is best. The more the slurry mixes work, the more segregation takes place. As the squeegee moves the matrix back and forth, the larger aggregate is worked to the surface while the fines may be lost and the mix can dehydrate. The coarse aggregate is then inadequately embedded and may ravel. Large areas requiring handwork should be applied in small sections, allowing sufficient time to place and finish the material without causing segregation or sizable areas to break. So here are two examples of unacceptable handwork. Notice the areas along the edge not covered. The material is lacking moisture and broke before the squeegee operator could complete the handwork properly. Both of these areas will have to be completely reworked. So the radius at the end of the street is typically applied by hand as seen here. Roofing felt or plastic is used to maintain a straight line at the intersections. So the picture on the left is an example of acceptable handwork. Clean, straight edges and center lines and uniform surface texture. Picture on the right illustrates a contractor completing a slurry seal treatment to a cul-de-sac. Notice that the materials applied by hand are uniform and closely matched to the material applied by the spreader box. So this photo shows the contractor performing a great job. They have good alignment, uniform surface texture, smooth and straight joints. You can see that they are constructing this project under the watchful eye of the project inspector. So in this section, we'll discuss slurry and micro spreader boxes. The pictures of the 4 different types of spreader boxes. I will give a brief description and we'll discuss each box in more detail later in the presentation. So the first spreader box, top left corner, is the rut box. The rut box is specifically designed to level and fill wheel path rutting. This box comes in either 5-foot or 6-foot width and cannot be adjusted. Second box is a slurry seal box. This box is lightweight and simple in design and can only be used for slurry seal. Microsurfacing cannot be used with this box. The adjustable width box can be used to apply slurry or micro. This box is adjustable in width by adding and removing extension plates and augers. And lastly, the variable width box. This also can be used with slurry or micro. This box is adjustable in width during the paving operation by just actuating a hydraulic valve. The spreader box is the final stage in the process of applying a slurry seal or microsurfacing application. In the slurry seal or microsurfacing application process, the spreader box is a critical aspect. There are different spreader boxes designed for specific applications, such as the material being used and the condition of the road. The spreader box is an important part of the paving process because it improves the quality of pavement and determines the final aesthetics of the project. A single paver could have different spreader boxes used with it at different times. Using the correct spreader box is as critical as using the correct materials, the correct mix design, and the proper equipment calibration. So the spreader box performs the following functions. It receives and contains the slurry or microsurfacing mix from the truck-mounted or continuous paver to keep the materials flowing through the process and within the lanes of materials to be applied. The spreader box evenly distributes the material across the paving width of the box, moving it quickly from the center of the spreader box to the outside edges before the material has a chance to break. It's important that the material not break before it's applied to the pavement, so it will bond to the pavement properly. So quick break materials will break in the spreader box if not agitated and applied quickly. The box also meters the material onto the road surface. The spreader box determines how much material will be applied to the pavement, independent of the production rate of the paver. The spreader box corrects the surface profile of the pavement when properly configured. This allows the leveling of depressions and ruts in the pavement. The box applies the final texture of the road surface, which can be changed according to the needs of the agency, and the spreader box determines the edge lines of the material being applied. Through proper spreader box maintenance and proper consistency of the material, a clean, straight edge line will be constructed. So the spreader box should pull smoothly and evenly without vibration. Machine speed should be kept uniform. Excessive speed can cause the box to vibrate or jump, leaving transverse rippling lines or washboarding in the finished surface. Also, if using a drag, excessive speeds can cause it to leave rippled and uneven mats. A normal speed on one type of spreader box may be the excessive speed on a different type of spreader box. The most important factor in determining the allowable speed of application is the end result and quality of treatment appearance. Laying speed is affected by application rate, gradation of aggregate, the viscosity of the mixture, and the existing surface condition, both the texture and the smoothness. So as I said earlier, the rut box is designed to address wheel path rutting. The rut box is used to fill and level one wheel path rut at a time if the rut is stable. The rut box directs the larger stones to the center of the rut to provide structure, and the smaller stones are placed along the edge of the rut to level the microsurfacing with the existing pavement. This provides a correct profile to the pavement. The rut box also allows for the application of a slight crown to the rut, which allows for return traffic compaction of microsurfacing when placed in deep ruts. So a slurry seal box is exclusively used to apply slurry seal treatments. Due to the high liquid content and low application rates of slurry seal, the slurry seal box is lightweight and simple in design. The slurry box can be used with or without augers. The liquid content and the setting and breaking characteristics of the slurry seal will determine if augers are needed. The slurry seal box cannot be used to apply microsurfacing. So the adjustable width spreader box. The width change is performed before the paving starts and it stays the same during the paving process. The width can be adjusted in 6-inch and 12-inch intervals. So tools are used to disconnect attachment points. Workers will remove or install screed and auger extensions, then reconnect the attachment points as illustrated below. The adjustable width is set before the paving starts and cannot be adjusted while applying material. The variable width spreader box is designed to adjust during the application process. The paving width of a variable width spreader box is indefinitely variable between the minimum and maximum points. The box will extend and contract 2.5 feet on each side. Spreader boxes come in different widths. It becomes 8 to 13, 9 to 14, 10 to 15, and 11 to 16. The width can be changed on the variable width box during the paving process while moving and placing material by actuating a hydraulic valve. So the spreader box primary strike off helps control and determine the application rate of the material. The strike off comes in different lengths, widths, and thicknesses and diameters. Depending on the pavement condition and the gradation of the aggregate being used, some experimenting will be required to determine the best application. So a fabric drag is often used to produce a uniform texture mat. The drag may consist of canvas, burlap, carpet, or other materials chosen to produce a particular texture. If a drag is used on the spreader box, the same material should be attached to the squeegee to have the handwork duplicate the results produced with the spreader box. A fabric drag used improperly can cause large stones to be rolled into a position where they are not properly embedded into the mat. The drag length, height, and thickness should be adjusted for each specific aggregate gradation. Drags will need replaced when they become torn or stiff with asphalt, sometimes several times throughout the day. A burlap drag attached to the spreader box, as seen here, can be used as a texturing device when applying slurry or microsurfacing. Increased safety for the traveling public is a direct result of this uniform high friction surface. So picture it as a secondary strike off set at different angles. Different textures can be achieved by placing the secondary at different angles and by adjusting strike off pressure using the adjustment wheels. One of the potential problems associated with slurry system treatment work is a drag mark. A drag mark is when an oversized aggregate particle becomes lodged under the spreader box strike-off plate and while being pulled along with the paver leaves a furrow in the surface as shown here. So there are two methods of repairing these drag marks once the material is applied on the pavement surface. The traditional method is to remove the furrow with a hand tool called a squeegee. This method works well, but it requires a well-trained person to remove the drag mark without leaving an unsightly appearance in the finished surface. A newer method to correct drag marks is called a secondary strike-off, which improves the surface texture and the surface cosmetics. The secondary strike-off mounts directly behind the laydown box primary strike-off and is in contact with the fresh mix. It will remove most surface imperfections without requiring someone to remove them with a hand tool. So now let's talk a little bit about cleaning. So a clean spreader box will provide a higher quality application of slurry seal and microsurfacing. The operator should keep in mind that the appearance of the pavement surface is how the traveling public will judge any slurry seal or microsurfacing project. Maintenance and upkeep is easier and less frequent when the spreader box is clean. The excess buildup of material and its additional weight will prematurely wear the runners. It can also cause the augers to be unbalanced, which results in excessive bearing wear. The operator should place the jack stands or blocks under the runners when cleaning the spreader box to ensure worker safety. So the spreader box should be partially cleaned whenever the paving process stops during the day. By periodically cleaning, the quality of the project can be maintained when operations resume. The paving crew should remove any large areas of material buildup and scrape the primary and secondary strike-offs. Crews should take extra care to ensure that any buildup of material under the primary strike-off or material stuck to the primary or secondary strike-off is removed, so it doesn't create drags on the pavement surface. So the following items should be part of the daily cleaning procedure in order to properly clean the spreader box. First, we treat the spreader box with an asphalt release agent before starting operations for the day. Then at the end of the day, scrape excess material from all surfaces. If using heat to soften the asphalt, keep the heat source away from the hydraulics, bearings, and squeegees. The crew should remove and clean the squeegees on both the primary and secondary strike-off. Asphalt and dirt should be removed from the hydraulic quick disconnects to keep them from the paver's hydraulic system, and grease the bearings and slide tube to increase lifespan.